You have seen it happen. Perhaps it was in a business meeting, a family discussion, or a conversation among friends. One person dominates the conversation. They are full of energy, offering opinions, telling stories, filling every pocket of silence with the sound of their own voice. They are trying with every word to demonstrate their value, their intelligence, their importance. And yet when they finish, there is a subtle shift in the room. The attention does not linger on them. It drifts. Then another person speaks. Someone who has been sitting in quiet composure. They offer only 1 or 2 sentences. Their words are calm, measured, and precise. And suddenly, the entire energy of the room coalesces around them. Every eye is locked. Every mind is focused. Their few words carry more weight than the 1,000 words that came before. In that moment, the person who spoke less commanded more. And perhaps in the quiet moments of your own life, you have felt the sting of being the first person in that story. The one who spoke the most, but was heard the least. You have been taught a fundamental lie about communication. A lie that is so deeply embedded in our culture that we rarely stop to question it. The lie is this, that your value is proportional to your verbal contribution. That to be seen as smart, you must speak often. That to be influential, you must dominate the airtime. This is not just wrong, it is the very inverse of the truth. Today, we will deconstruct this lie and replace it with a code. Code of calm that generates immediate respect. A code that's not built on adding more, but on taking away. It begins with one simple radical command: stop talking. To understand why this is so powerful, you must first understand the principle of diluted value. Think of a single drop of a potent medicine. In a small glass of water, its effect is powerful. Now take that same single drop and pour it into a massive swimming pool. The medicine is still there, but its presence is so diluted that it has become completely ineffective. Your words of wisdom are that drop of medicine. When you speak excessively, you are drowning your own potent insights in a swimming pool of unnecessary filler. You are taking your moments of brilliance and diluting them with rambling, with nervous chatter, with a compulsive need to explain and over-explain. You are communicating to the world that your words are cheap, that they are an infinite, abundant resource, and therefore they are worth very little. The person who speaks sparingly, however, communicates the opposite. Their silence creates a scarcity. It signals that their words are a precious, finite resource, to be used only when necessary. So, when they finally choose to speak, people instinctively treat those words as valuable. They lean in. They listen. They know that this is not noise, this is a signal. This is the drop of medicine in a small, concentrated glass. This is the first layer of the code, but it goes deep. Your constant talking is not a broadcast of confidence. It is a broadcast of anxiety. The need to fill every silence, to jump in with a comment, to always have an answer. This does not come from a place of security. It comes from a place of fear. A fear of being seen as unintelligent. A fear of being invisible. A fear of not being good enough. Your mind, in a state of subtle panic, believes that if it just keeps producing words, it can prove its worth and maintain control. But the primal brains of everyone around you perceive something else entirely. They do not hear your clever points. They feel your nervous energy. They sense your lack of inner stillness. And in the silent subconscious courtroom of social dynamics, anxiety is interpreted as weakness. Calm is interpreted as strength. The person who can sit comfortably in silence, who is not compelled to react to every stimulus, demonstrates true power. They are communicating without a single word that they are in command of their own internal state. They are not afraid of the void. They are not afraid of being judged. They are rooted in a sense of self-worth that does not require constant verbal validation. This is the person who commands respect, not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one whose silence is the most comfortable, the most profound. So, we are faced with a paradox. The very act you are using to try and gain respect, talking more, is the very thing that is causing you to lose it. But why? If we can all recognize the power of the composed, silent individual, why do we feel this compulsive need to do the opposite? Why do we fill every available space with sound? Is this need to speak genuinely our own? Or is it a program running deep in our subconscious, installed there without our permission? To break the code, we must first understand its origins. We must diagnose the noise. To dismantle a machine, you must first see all of its gears. This compulsive need to speak, this fear of silence, is a machine that was built inside you, piece by piece over many years. For most of you, it began in childhood. You were trained in a system that rewarded the appearance of participation. In the classroom, which student was praised? The one who sat in quiet contemplation, or the one whose hand was always in the air, ready with an answer, any answer? You learned early on that being vocal was equated with being smart. Silence was interpreted as ignorance. You were programmed to believe that your visibility depended on your volume. This programming continued into your adult life. You entered workplaces where the person who spoke most in meetings was perceived as the leader, even if their contributions were shallow. You navigated social circles where witty, fast-paced banter was the currency of connection, and quiet introspection was seen as strange or antisocial. Your environment has been a relentless conditioning chamber, teaching you one flawed lesson: speak, or you will disappear. But the deepest root of this compulsion is not your environment. It is your biology. The need to speak is often a frantic attempt to manage anxiety. Silence is a vast, empty space, and if you do not have a strong sense of inner stability, your mind will rush to fill that space with noise, because it is terrified of what it might find in the quiet. It is terrified of facing its own inadequacy. The chatter is a distraction, a shield, the smoke screen to hide your own insecurity from yourself and from others. So, this voice that you think is yours, this narrator that feels the need to comment on everything, to fill every pause, is it truly you, others? Or is it the ghost of a teacher from your past? Is it the echo of a demanding boss? Is it the trembling voice of your own anxiety, masquerading as a confident opinion? This is not a simple question, and the answer is different for everyone. It requires a moment of radical honesty, a moment of true self-inquiry. We are on this journey together. This space is not just for my words, but for our collective growth. Let us think of the comment section below not as a forum for debate, but as our wall of self-awareness, a place where we can post our discoveries without judgment. So, I ask you to pause with me for a moment. Reflect. That deep, compulsive need to fill the silence, is it genuinely yours? Is it an expression of your authentic self? Or is it a program you have been running? An echo from your parents, your schooling, your environment? What do you believe is the true source of this impulse within you? Share your perspective on our wall of self-awareness. There is immense power in transforming a vague feeling into a written thought. It is the first step in moving from being controlled by a program to becoming the one who writes the code. Your insight may be the very key that unlocks another's understanding. Take your time. We will be here. To understand where this programming comes from is the first crucial step. To see the machine is to begin to reclaim your power from it. You realize that this urge is not an essential part of who you are. It is merely a habit, a ghost. And what we have learned we can unlearn. But to overwrite old code, you need a new code that is stronger, more efficient, and more aligned with the fundamental laws of nature. It is not enough to simply decide to talk less. That is like trying to stop a flood with a small bucket. You will be overwhelmed by the force of old habits. No, you must change the very system from which the flood originates. You must move beyond psychology and into physiology. You must learn the new code, the code of calm. This code is based on a simple biological truth we have touched upon before, but must now see in this new light. A calm nervous system is the foundation of all social power. All respect, all authority, all influence begins with your ability to regulate your own internal state. When you are in a state of calm, your mind is clear. You have access to your best thoughts, not just your fastest one. Your energy is contained and potent, not scattered and diluted. And most importantly, the primal brains of those around you register your calmness as a signal of high status and control. They instinctively feel that you are not a threat, but you are also not prey. You are a force to be reckoned with, a presence to be respected. This is why the code of calm is the ultimate antidote to the noise of anxiety. But how do you access it, especially under pressure? How do you generate this state of profound inner stillness when you feel the old programming urging you to speak? The answer lies in understanding the neuroscience of your own presence. To truly master the code of calm, you must understand that every interaction you have is governed by an invisible conversation happening beneath the surface of your words. It is a biological dialogue occurring between your nervous system and the nervous system of the person you are with. Your brain has a subconscious surveillance system, constantly scanning the environment and the people in it, asking one fundamental question: am I safe? This process is not conscious. You do not think about it. It happens automatically in the most ancient parts of your brain. The renowned scientist and psychiatrist Dr. Stephen Porges gave this process a name. He calls it neuroception. It is your nervous system's instantaneous ability to detect risk and assess safety, long before the conscious mind has time to process what is happening. And the primary way your neuroception gauges safety is by reading the subtle non-verbal cues being broadcast by the nervous systems of others. Dr. Porges' groundbreaking polyvagal theory explains how this works. Your nervous system is in a calm, regulated state, what he calls the ventral vagal state. Your body sends out powerful cues of safety. Your facial muscles are relaxed. Your tone of voice is melodic and varied. Your breathing is slow and rhythmic. Your very presence communicates on a biological level: everything is okay, there is no threat here. Conversely, when you are in a state of anxiety or stress, your sympathetic nervous system takes over. Your muscles tense. Your voice becomes flat or sharp. Your breathing becomes shallow. You are unconsciously broadcasting cues of danger. Here is the secret. The human brain is evolutionarily hardwired to be drawn to and grant status to individuals who broadcast cues of safety and control, especially under pressure. When you sit in a meeting feeling that compulsive urge to speak, you are in a state of sympathetic activation. You are leaking cues of distress, and the neuroception of everyone in the room picks this up. They subconsciously register you as someone who is not in control of their own state, and therefore not someone to be fully trusted with leadership or authority. They may not know why they feel this way, but their nervous system has already made the judgment. The master of silence, however, is operating from a different state. By remaining calm, by breathing from their diaphragm, they are keeping their nervous system in that ventral vagal state of safety and social engagement. They are a biological beacon of stability in the room, and everyone else's nervous system relaxes in their presence. People feel calmer, more settled, more open around them. And this deep, biological feeling of safety and stability is then consciously interpreted by their minds as confidence, authority, and respect. They are not respecting the person's silence. They are respecting the person's calm. The silence is merely the most obvious symptom of the profound internal stillness they have cultivated. This is the code of calm. It is the conscious regulation of your own nervous system in order to broadcast cues of safety and command, thereby shaping the neuroception of those around you. So how do you activate this code on demand? The master key, the physical tool to shift your nervous system from the anxious state to the calm, ventral vagal state, is the one we have spoken of before, your breath. A slow, full, diaphragmatic breath is the most powerful tool you have for telling your vagus nerve, this superhighway of your nervous system, that you are safe and in control. Before you enter a room, before you speak, even while someone else is speaking, you can practice this silent internal cultivation. At each deep, slow breath, you are sending a powerful signal to your own brainstem, overriding the anxious programming that urges you to talk. You are choosing to generate a state of physiological calm. You are no longer a victim of your own anxiety. You are the master of your own biology. When you understand this, you realize that true power is not about having the best argument. It is about having the most regulated nervous system. When you can maintain your calm while others are losing theirs, you become the silent leader in the room. Your presence becomes a gravitational force. Now that you understand the code and how to activate it within yourself, we must move to the final stage, the execution. How do you translate this internal state of powerful calm into spoken words that carry the same weight? How do you speak in a way that honors the silence you have cultivated? This is the art of the minimal and precise response. You now understand the code. You understand that by regulating your internal state, you change how the world perceives and responds to you. But a code is useless without execution. The final step is to learn how to speak from this new state of powerful calm. How do you choose your words so that they carry the same weight as your silence? The art is in precision, not volume. You must abandon the habit of thinking out loud and instead master the art of the minimal and precise response. Here are 3 tools to place in your arsenal. First, learn the power of the insightful question. The person who feels they need to prove their intelligence often offers a long-winded opinion. The person who is truly intelligent often asks a short, powerful question. A question that cuts through the noise and gets to the heart of the matter. A question that reveals a new perspective or exposes a hidden flaw in an argument. While others are rambling, you sit in your calm, observant state. You listen. And when you finally speak, you do not offer another rambling opinion. You ask, what is the single most important metric for success here? Or what is the assumption we are all making but have not questioned? A single, well-placed question often carries more authority than a 10-minute monologue. It demonstrates that you are not just processing information, you are thinking on a different level. It shifts the burden of speaking back to others, while leaving you in a position of quiet control. Second, master the power of the analogy. Complexity is not a sign of intelligence. The ability to make the complex simple. A rambling speaker will take 10 minutes to explain a difficult concept. A master of the code will find a simple metaphor or analogy that makes the concept instantly clear to everyone in the room. It is still the essence of the idea into a memorable image. This ability to create clarity where there is confusion is an immediate and powerful demonstration of mastery. It shows you do not just understand the topic, you own it. Third, master the power of the bottom line. Most conversations are filled with unnecessary details, side stories and qualifications. Learn to listen through all of that noise for the one thing that truly matters. And when it is your turn to speak, deliver only that. The bottom line. After listening to everything, it seems the core issue is not resources, but communication. End of sentence. You do not need to show your work. You do not need to explain the entire journey of how you arrived at that conclusion. You simply present the distilled truth. This level of verbal economy is jarring to most people. It is so confident, so devoid of fluff, that it commands immediate attention and respect. For Brick, when you combine these tools, the insightful question, the clarifying analogy, the precise bottom line with your foundation of physiological calm, you become a force of nature. You become the person in the room whose words have the most weight. And this is the final transformation. When you master this code, you do not just gain respect in a single conversation. Over time, you build an aura, a reputation. You become the master of silence. People learn that you do not speak often, but that when you do, it is worth listening to. They will begin to seek you out. They will pause before making a decision and ask for your opinion. Your silence will no longer be seen as passive, it will be seen as contemplative. Your words will no longer be mere contributions, they will become events. You will have elevated respect into reverence. This is the path. We began by identifying the trap, the belief that more words create more value. We diagnosed the root of this behavior, a program of anxiety and a lifetime of conditioning. We then discovered the code, the neuroscience of a calm presence and its effect on the nervous systems of others. And finally, we have learned the execution, the art of speaking with surgical precision. This is your new way of being. It is a commitment to honoring the value of your own thoughts. It is a vow to stop diluting your wisdom in a sea of nervous noise. It is the understanding that your power does not lie in the volume of your voice, but in the weight of your words. So, let us seal this new identity. Let us make a declaration that will serve as the first line of your new internal code. A commitment to yourself. Write this in the comments below. Not for me, but as a public vow to your new self. A reminder of the standard you now for your own communication. Declare with me, my words have weight. Write it, and with that action, begin the practice. In every conversation, in every meeting, in every interaction, hold that standard. Speak less. Say more. Mock. Command the respect that is your birthright. The code of calm is now yours. Use it.